Good morning, everybody. This video is for anybody who has chickens or is even thinking about chickens. I want to show you briefly how we started and how we ended up. We've been at this for about 1.5 years now, and we started with this Rural King chicken coop. It cost us $200, and it was actually good enough for our chickens, especially over the winter, for 6 of them to live in here just perfectly fine. The only problem with this was the run is way too small. Currently, our little Rural King chicken coop and chicken run is growing sunflowers and corn, but it wasn't always like that. Before, when we had it in January of last year, we had actually added 3-foot tall fence from here. We went about 6 foot to about 3 foot. I know it's kind of hard to imagine, but we had fenced off an area so they could run around. What we did is we put additional chicken fencing over, and then we had like bungee cords and things like that, and it worked really well. Except for with 6 chickens, it still seemed too small, and it was kind of a pain to like unhook this fencing that we had and all of that. We had to stack logs so that the chickens couldn't escape, and it really became kind of a hassle to get in and out. Now, we were actually really happy that we bought this smaller chicken coop because we were just starting out, and you may be starting out too and not really want to invest huge amounts of money or have a lot of space or anything like that, because well, you can get chickens, you can want to get chickens, but once you get chickens and the upkeep and getting the eggs and some of the noises that they make and some of the pest pressure or predator pressure that you can experience might actually, you might decide not to get chickens. So getting a $200 chicken coop is fine, add a little bit of fencing, that's what we did. Now, what we can actually do is whenever we get new baby chickens, we can house them in there until they're about 3 months old, and they're big enough to kind of defend themselves. They get used to sleeping in a coop, which is very important because we actually have some chickens that learned how to sleep in a tree, and that's not what you want. You want them sleeping in a coop. So you can use this and you can keep reusing it. You can use it forever. Just because I bought this for $200 doesn't mean that I lost out on that money. It gave me a chance to try out having chickens and then have the option to expand. I could have always gifted this away, or I could have given it to a friend or a neighbor or anything like that, put it on marketplace, anything like that. So it's definitely a good way to go, and we're glad that we did it. Now we'll go through the run first of the chicken yard before we get into the gigantic chicken coop. But I wanted to show you briefly everything that we have going on here. We made a door that is wide enough for us to open it either way, but we can also run a wheelbarrow in because we have to get hay in there. We also wanted it large enough so that we would never have to expand. So I don't remember the dimensions, but this is 100 foot of fencing that goes all the way around and back to the chicken coop. And this is actually 6 foot tall fencing that we brought down to the ground. Excuse you. Hi, Lucy. Yeah, I'm trying to make a video. Trying to show off your chicken. Hey, you just snip at me. Why you snip at me? You want some yum yums? Here, here's some yum yums. This chicken fence, or this fencing goes all the way down, and then we have it so it overlaps on the ground so things can't burrow in. And then we planted things like this lamb's ear. We have rocks, sunflowers that got ate up by the birds, other birds, and then just an assortment of different flowers. And we hope this will actually be like a gardening line here, full of flowers and this and that, and actually be an aesthetic type of thing. As we go around, you can see that it's pretty tall, and we have this bird netting on top, and we have it tight to the side, so if other birds try to fly in from the neighborhood, they don't like drop in. They know it's there and they fly away. We have a couple of things that actually keep the height a little bit taller so that we can walk in there pretty easily. And this chicken yard is actually so big that we have an additional fenced in area for even more bushes. So the room for these chickens is quite impressive, and we could get probably another 10, 15, 20 birds. One of the things also we wanted to do is we had buried these posts about 3 foot down, concrete them in because we didn't want them rising with the frost in the winter. Then we wanted to have access to this side of the fence because we were letting this all grow up, but animals were coming in and messing with our chickens, and they were squawking all the time. So we mowed this back, and I actually come in here and I take Japanese lessons online. So I just sit here next to my birdies and enjoy my learning. It's a pretty cool view. kind of hidden out of the way. And I also get to sit here and throw snackies at the chickens. Now we designed it so we can actually come through around this mulberry. We can come through here. We can access that area from there, from the driveway, and also on the other side. This is quite the structure. This is all reclaimed oak boards. We overlap them because it seemed like a cool idea. And that actually allows for some airflow through there so it doesn't get too stuffed up and stinky. And for the roof, we actually just used plywood and then roll shingles, and that worked out pretty well, either by nailing it down or stapling it. Either way works. The main door for the chicken coop is actually a pretty impressive thing, but it's still kind of difficult. It's almost a single-handed movement here. So if I do that, that's fine. And I use my shoulder, my elbow to actually push that in so that I can open. And then here you are, the Casa de Chicken, Torino Goya. Hi birdies. One's in the corner laying eggs, so we'll probably back up out of here. But just to give you a brief visual of what it looks like. And we're out. A little bit more detail about this. This was supposed to be temporary, and we really need to fix this before the winter, because this is okay to step up, but in the middle of winter when there's snow and ice and all that stuff, this needs to be concreted in, or it needs to be a wooden platform or what have you. So that's an upgrade that we need to make. We put this board across so that straw and hay didn't fall out, but we can just slide it out and we can actually scoop all of this out into a wheelbarrow, and then we can bring it into our garden beds or whatever we want to do. Some minor things that we've done is we kind of strung this thing together. We used some, scrap boards and a couple of scrap logs, and the chickens like it. I don't know, it's kind of a funky thing to do. It took us all of 18 minutes. I had to relearn how to tie knots, and we put a cat kennel in there, and some of the chickens actually go up in there. We put a fly trap just the other day because flies come in here. But other than that, we just tried to put some sort of, structure somewhere for them to stand and sit. So moving on, let me move this out of the way, because whenever I come in here, they're all curious. They're wondering, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't worry about it, man. I'm just posting a video on YouTube. Or you want to be a star, Lucy Bird? Want to be a star? That's one of our baby chickens is now laying eggs. Good job, Lucy. I'm proud of you. Same thing here with this door. I actually wish this was lower. If this was lower, I'd be able to just pick it up with my body. But right now I have to get real close, kind of muscle it open. But we can adjust that some other time. We have plenty of water in here. We actually just filled this up. It's got to be low enough so that all the chickens can get to it. This was actually, up until this morning, this was too high. It was on this other brick, and once it got to halfway full, the chickens would get frustrated and they'd knock it over so they could get the water. So we lowered that down this morning, refilled that, and then they have another water right over here. As you can see as we walk through kind of the scale of the place, we can walk around here freely. The birdies have different bales and logs and stones and stuff they can kind of jump on and hide, and they have plenty of room to roam. It's actually pretty cool, and I could imagine another 15-20 chickens in here. It's just, can we handle that many eggs? That's the question. Actually, let me point this out, because this is how we had structured the original fencing for the smaller chicken coop. We had actually gone off the edge, and then we just used, it was 2-foot fencing at the time, and we used T-posts, and it actually sat right about here. So if you imagine that chicken coop, let's say it was right here to here, we then had fencing that kind of ran around there, and we were still able to get to the side of it. We had a pathway that kind of went around, and it was pretty good. It was just kind of a pain to take the roof off, a portion of the roof every time that we had to get in and like add straw or hay, whatever we wanted to do. And it also wasn't as secure as this. Like, we have the ground covered, we got the roof covered, we got the walls covered. There's no hedgehogs or sonics or any of those types of animals getting into here. And we don't even need to use the automatic door because the yard itself is secure. You can see we have fencing under there. There's rocks that pin everything down. We even have it secured up here to make sure nothing gets on the roof, like climbs the tree, gets on the roof, and then comes through here. So hopefully that was a pretty quick video. We'll see when we edit it and how many retakes that we have to do, because I'm trying to bring up the quality of these videos and make them interesting and kind of quick and all that stuff. So if you enjoy the video, please press like. And if you'd like to see any more of our content, including this or the fruit trees that we grow or any of the things that we try to do around here, we have a backyard nursery with, I think, just about 80 plants now, including currants and apples and flowers and all those things. So if you'd like to see any more of that, subscribe. And I'm going to get inside and start editing this and probably come out and do a couple of retakes, but you won't even notice. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.